I'm 76 years old, and what I'm about to tell you, nobody warned me. Nobody warned you either. Everything you believe about how life is supposed to go is built on a foundation of sand. The people who raised you, your parents, your teachers, the world around you, they handed you a map. But here's what nobody mentioned. That map leads you somewhere, just not where you think. I followed that map for 5 decades. I built what it told me to build. I chased what it told me to chase. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, the map caught fire. I was 54 years old, standing in a conference room on the 11th floor, halfway through a budget review. And then the room tilted. I don't remember hitting the floor. I only remember waking up. Margaret was in the corner of the room, crying the way she thought I wouldn't notice. The doctor called it a cardiac episode, a polite phrase for your heart stopped cooperating.
I said I was lucky. Lucky.
I was staring at the ceiling of a hospital room with my chest cracked open by fear, and the man in the white coat called it luck. But lying there, with nothing but silence and a slow beeping machine, I did something I hadn't done in 30 years. I thought, really thought. Not about the budget review, not about the mortgage, about the question the hospital ceiling seemed to be asking me. If you had died today, what would you have left behind? There's a lie that travels quietly through generations. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone repeats it. The lie sounds like this. When I get the promotion, then I'll relax. When the debt is gone, then I'll breathe. When the children are grown, then I'll travel. When I retire, then I'll finally live. I believed that lie for 30 years. And here is what nobody tells you about someday. The finish line keeps moving. You earn the promotion, and suddenly there's another rung. You hit the number in your account, and the number changes. You are always one step from arriving, and you never arrive. You spend decades climbing a ladder, reaching the top, and realize it was propped against the wrong building the whole time. And you cannot climb back down. Time doesn't offer refunds. I made partner at my firm. I got the handshakes, the corner office, the colleagues who said my name with respect. And for about 2 days, I felt it, that feeling. Then it evaporated, back to baseline, on to the next thing. I had a friend named Walter, brilliant man, built a business worth more than most people see in 10 lifetimes. He kept a notepad on his desk that said, "Slow down next year." My father built something remarkable. He worked harder than anyone I've ever known. And I wish I'd known him. That sentence never left me. I wish I'd known him. Said by his own son at his funeral. Is that the chapter you want your story to end on? People assume that at my age, I lie awake regretting failures, failed deals, missed opportunities in business, moments I got it wrong professionally. Not one of those things visits me at night. You want to know what does? The trip to Morocco I kept saying I'd take when things settled down. Things never settled down. My father and I had a complicated relationship, the kind that needs years of honest conversation to untangle. I told myself we'd have that conversation when I was less busy. He had a heart attack at 71, gone in an afternoon. We never had the conversation. The Sundays I didn't call. The dinners I was too tired to drive to. The small, ordinary moments I let slip through my fingers like sand, thinking there was always more sand coming. There won't always be more. That's the truth they should teach in school. There won't always be more. After that hospital room, I made changes. Real ones. Not the kind you announce, the kind you quietly begin. I stepped back from the work that was eating me. I started saying no to things that didn't fill me, and yes to things I'd buried for 20 years. And in the 22 years since that Tuesday on the 11th floor, I have learned more about being alive than in the 54 years that came before. What I discovered is embarrassingly simple. Simple enough that your younger self will roll their eyes. I know. Mine did too. Time with people you love. Work that means something to you. Experiences over objects. Being where you are, instead of where you're trying to get. That's it. 22 years of paying attention, and that's the whole list. Embarrassingly simple, maddeningly hard to actually live. I want to ask you something, and I want you to sit with it, not scroll past it. If tonight was your last night, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived so far? Not proud, not impressive, just satisfied. If the answer is no, then I need you to hear this next part carefully. I see it in my grandchildren, the same patterns I wore at their age, anxiety dressed up as ambition, busyness mistaken for purpose, chasing things that will never make them feel the way they imagine. I try to tell them. They hear the words, they don't feel them yet. That's not their fault. You can't feel this until you've lived enough to feel it. That's why I'm speaking to a camera instead of just telling them over dinner. Because maybe, just maybe, something about hearing it this way makes it land differently. Maybe one person watches this and makes a different choice tomorrow. That would be enough for me. I'm 76 now. My health has been kind to me since that hospital room. But every morning I wake up, I hold the same quiet awareness. This is borrowed time. All of it always was. I just didn't know it until I almost ran out. I've traveled to places I'd saved in my mind for 40 years. I've deepened ties with my children that once felt thin as paper. I've pursued things I always told myself were frivolous. I've forgiven people I held in cold storage for decades. I've said I love you more times in these last 22 years than in the 54 before them combined. And here is the great irony that took me a lifetime to understand. I am happier now, with less time ahead of me, than I was at 30 when I believed I had forever. When you truly understand that time is limited, you stop squandering it, you stop deferring joy, you stop auditioning for a life you'll live eventually. You begin. If I could walk back through time and sit with my 30-year-old self over coffee, I know exactly what I'd say. Stop performing success for people who won't be at your funeral. Stop trading your health for achievements that will be forgotten. Stop postponing the things that actually feed you. Stop waiting for permission. Start calling the people you love before there's a reason to. Start taking the trips you've bookmarked for someday. Start doing the things that frighten you. Start saying no to what drains you and yes to what restores you. And start now. Not after this project wraps. Not when the bank account looks right. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because the perfect moment is not coming. Life will always hand you a reason to wait. And if you wait long enough, you'll realize you waited your whole life away. I'm 76. If fortune stays with me, perhaps another decade, perhaps less. And I've made my peace with that, because these last 22 years have been the richest of them all. Not because I had more money, because I finally stopped pretending that someday was a real place. Someday is today. It always has been. If something in this stayed with you, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you're going to do differently. Subscribe. I have more to say, and less time to say it than I'd like. The clock is ticking. What will you do with your time?